welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent God video, and in this video we'll be going over the tier list for the artifacts. I finally got some time today and I was able to do a tier list for all the artifacts, epics, rares, everything included. And yeah, there's some really cool new ones that they've added. They've added about 7 for the legendaries, they've added about 5 for epics, and 3 for 3, right? 3 for rares. I personally feel that they should have added more for epics because this is the most accessible option for people. Adding just about 5 doesn't really make sense because the entire top row is basically trash, right? You wouldn't want to use these. There's no point in using these. Just don't buy these, to be honest. It's a waste of a dupe, waste of a soul imprint. But then again, like, there are some really cool ones and epics as well. I think so are in legendaries. Exclusives are one of the hardest to get, so I won't be covering them in this video, simply because like the number of people who have them already know what to do with them. They're pretty powerful if you have the champion and if you have got the exclusive artifact. You are not using anything else on the champion, right? And they cannot be used on any other champion, so the usability is pretty trash, meaning that they are not that versatile. They're definitely powerful, but they cannot be used on anybody else. Meanwhile, when we go over the legendary ones, I've divided the tier list into what is flame, so you only need like fire affinity, soul imprint stones to get these 2 artifacts, ice for these 2, and so on and so forth. So I've separated the tier list based on those, highlighted the cost for everything, what they do, what I think their rating is. And before we actually begin into the rating, the way I really feel about this game, right? The number of epic artifacts that they should have added shouldn't be 5. It should be more. This is going to be the major option, and you don't really get. So if I summon a dupe, an epic, I don't really get an extra soul print. They just vanish. They just give me essence and that's about it. I think that's a bad design. They could have added something like give me just gold. I'll take that, or give me anything like, chance to get some gear items, but I think that will be broken. But yeah, something, give me something to buy, like cosmetic items. I don't care. Cosmetic items are not gonna hurt anybody. But yeah, they should have really looked at these epics and thought like, okay, instead of adding 7 to the legendaries, or fine, they can add 7 to the legendaries, let's add the same amount in epics, because these are going to be the used most, right? Some of the new ones they've added, like the wire link, is really good. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't add good artifacts. There are definitely some really good ones in the epic artifacts. But yeah, let's actually jump right into the rating. So the way that I thought about the rating, I held off. I've been very strict with my ratings, even for champions, even for artifacts, simply because that I'm able to use and seen the utility of each one of them, and each of their utility is going to be very team focused as well. I mean, this game is all about team synergies, and whatever artifact that you're gonna get, whether it's from epic, legendary, or whatever, don't get rares. I'll talk about the rares one in a minute. Is that like the team synergy is going to dictate, like the champion is going to dictate. If I've rated something as C, just think it through when you're using it on a champion. Like, yeah, it can be used. I'm not saying it's not going to be used, but when I give it a C, I meant, like, in my opinion, that item, I wouldn't use it. I would use something else. But if you have the soul imprint to get it. If you feel like, yeah, that's going to be making a game-changing thing for your team, do it, because every content creator is also new. Same with me. Even though I have played this game in the beta, I'm still learning through it, so bear with me on that as well. Besides that, let's actually go over some of my favorites. So I won't be talking much about these affinity exclusives. These are like semi-exclusive artifacts till about here, right? And some of my favorite ones is Rift Hourglass. I don't know what happened there, but Rift Hourglass it was pretty broken in beta. So for those of you who don't know, this artifact used to give, instead of accuracy, it used to give skill haste, and in its description it used to reduce the initial cooldown of your ultimate, right? So it was bonkers. It was the bane of all PvP teams. Like, you just needed as much skill haste. There were some counters to it for sure, but it wasn't as successful as some of the other ones. Yeah, and they've nerfed it to a degree that I personally really feel good about the item. Like, I still rate it as S. I haven't rated many items as S, but this is one of them. And yeah, in PvP, for your control units, you do want to go fast. There are obviously some other things that you can use besides this. Now PvP is much more explorative. There are much more options for you to explore. There are counters to a lot of different teams that didn't exist in the past. So yeah, there's definitely some solid rebalancing happening just by changing some of the things that they've done from season 0 to season 1. And also keep in mind, when you get this artifact, you will see the accuracy bonus in your summary tab. So when you gear the champion, you will see like the HP and like accuracy and all the stuff, but you won't see this extra skill haste on your summary. And also how much the skill haste affects the ultimate time is also not going to be known, right? So you have to kind of guesswork a little. I think it comes with a little bit of experience. The more you play it, the more you will get to figure out. And it's a problem in PvP, mainly because you can't see what's the enemy team's ultimate time is going to be, and you don't know your time as well. So it's definitely a bit of guesswork there, but I think it's fine. It's still a pretty good piece to hone. The next up is going to be the Witch's Remain. For those of you who have just one legendary troop, yeah, right, and a lot of you have gone for this Witch's Remain, I would personally urge you to just get the epic for now. It's going to do the job. This item is mostly for PvE. It's not, it is used. I personally also use it in PvP these days, but you can live without it. My point being, it's not as essential as a lot of people make it out to be, especially when you reach mid game, late game. Actually, in this game, it would be mid season, late season. But it's definitely a decent item to get if you have a ton of dupes lying around. Some of the notable mention, like they added this item. Where will it go? Oh, this one, Queen's Fan. I have no idea why they chose to do this distance between the wearer and the enemy stuff here. So if you think about it, the max you can get is 35%, right? And you won't be able to get this in Vortex. And Vortex you'll be getting 21%. Let's go here. It's a straight up 35% boost. I'll take this any day over that. Like, if I have to use it on a derivative damage dealer, why would I use this? Yeah, the only difference is that this gives more attack percentage. So each item of the artifacts can be leveled up to 20, right? But the legendary ones are going to give you the same stats as the legendary gear items, right? So if you have a legendary gear with attack percentage chest, for example, it's going to give you the same amount. I think it is 60. So yeah, it's going to be 60% for this one and 40% for the other one. So you do miss out on 20% attack, but for a derivative damage dealer where you're dealing damage with enlightenment, yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, it doesn't make sense. A lot of the stuff that they've done in the artifact department, it doesn't make sense. Like, I would personally pick, like, okay, this would be attack, that's fine. The second stat would be enlightenment, right? This one is pretty good. Just keep in mind, like, when you're using this one, it's really good for PvP and PvE, but use it on somebody who can heal on the ultimate. If they're just doing like somebody like El Cibre who's just putting up like heal over time, it's not going to work with that. So just be careful of those things. So it's pretty good item in general to have. This one I really like too. This new one, they basically distribute the healing. It's not as much, but it kind of adds up for a tanky team. Obviously not the first choice, but it's a fun item. I think it's a unique item, and I always like unique items. But yeah, they added a ton of these things. One thing that they've done is like added this one. I think this is pretty good for a lot of the PvP, PvE content where you don't have a attack down champion or something. You will obviously have attack down when you get this, but it kind of opens up your team to where you don't need an attack down for a certain short period of time, because it's going to place this attack penalty on 2 enemies who deal the most damage once you fully level this up. So they're pretty cool items in this. Like, I don't think there's like a something like which is a must get besides the hourglass. Obviously there's like something where Berserker masters skill haste and reduces the battle skill, so it's great for somebody like Ripscars, whatever his name is, the necrotic tank. So his battle skill stuns in a small area, so it's pretty good for those kind of people where you really need that extra skill haste. These items, they're pretty, some of them are good, some of them are okay. You can look at the tier list and see if it makes sense for you. Solo King Horn is one of the best items to have for in Vortex, but it comes with a huge but. This item is a bit weird in the sense that the damage bonus that you're gonna get is only like if you have somebody who's just healing once, right? Say for example you have Jillian. I wouldn't get this on her. I would rather just pick something like with this for her, because her heals is base of enlightenment and you do get the extra healing when they're below a certain HP threshold. This is only going to stack one time, 5% damage bonus, that's it. So typically you want this on somebody like Acelia, somebody like Furbath, who can really utilize this artifact. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk is about usability of an artifact. There's some items that when you buy, it looks good on paper, but when you use it, you're unable to get the full utility out of it, right? They changed this. I think this is now really weird. It's okay for a damage dealer, but I don't know why would somebody get it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this used to be HP and accuracy before. And it was a pretty cool set, like for somebody who's like a reviver like Mithrasi, Sifris, etc. It could be really cool, or it could be good for somebody who's like already a solid tank, and you could use this for, a lot of different things. Like even in what's that name? Grave of Venom, especially early game when you're always dying at the boss's first battle skill. This is a pretty cool item to get, but now they changed it to attack percentage for some reason. Let's move on to the epics, because I do want to talk about some of my favorite ones in epics. I think overall, like the value to cost ratio, right, is higher for epics, right? You get much more for less cost. So for those of you wondering, it costs about 16,000 essence to upgrade a single legendary piece from 0 to 16. It costs 10,000 for epics, and rares it costs around 6,000, but don't get rares, and we'll get to that. So these 5 items are absolute garbage. I think this one is also pretty garbage. So yeah, 6 items you can discount. Let's talk about the other items. Straightforward. This is one of the a great artifact to get for your arena DPS, for your Vortex DPS. This works in PvE, PvP, everywhere. Very versatile, and it can be used basically on anyone, right? There's not much specification like, oh, it's going to be incremental heal or things like that. When you get to the legendaries, you have to look into the nitty-gritty details of how you can use it, but this one is very straightforward. I love it. It's straight up damage boost, no ifs and buts, and it's just straightforward. The Arcane Music Box, this is like a conditional item, right? Like if you feel like if you have somebody like Vinyara who has a very short cooldown on the battle skill to provide shield, you have somebody like Hyrosos in your Vortex team, you want to use this on, fine, but otherwise it's just not worth it. Really not worth it. Mirror of Living. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good one. So whenever you basically are healing your allies, it's a straightforward too. Like, it's not based off a battle skill, it's not based off an ultimate. It's pretty cool, and it always increases by 30%. So it's kind of like a better version of this, right? Like if you think about it, like it's gonna plant a seed and you wait 5 seconds and it's gonna be 30% of the previous healing. Like why make it so complex? Just give us the same stuff. Like this is going to be increasing by 30% straight away. Like it just doesn't make sense. But carrying on, Scarab. This is pretty trash item, right? Like you can get this for something like Venom, but its only utility is going to be early game or in a very specific team where you are able to utilize this. I personally don't think that there is a lot of usability of this artifact, especially with the cooldown, right? This effect can only be triggered once every 45 seconds. That's a long cooldown. So I don't really personally like this item. Yeah, but if you had a different experience, do let me know. This is a pretty good one too. It's great for your, a lot of your tanks, a lot of your healers in Vortex. Pretty good usability, very straightforward. Love it when it's just straightforward thing, right? And this is by far, like, for any derivative damage dealer, this is amazing. If they don't have their own exclusive or something from the legendary department, this is straight up amazing, right? 35% more derivative damage compared to the legendary one, which is like, just make it more convoluted for no reason, and it gives the same damage bonus. It's just dumb. And you cannot use that item in Vortex. You won't get the full effect. I would rather use this than that on Vortex. Life Spindle is also pretty interesting. So when the hair heals with the balance skill, so you give more HP to that ally. It's good for somebody who is like, the only person that I really think of is Jillian, or the summon team one. Oh, I forgot his name. Torin. He's also pretty decent with it. Or yeah, I don't know why they have to make it with battle skill, right? Like we saw earlier, like this is giving straight up healing increase. So why couldn't they do the same thing with that? It's just weird. Ancestor Scandal is, I think, pretty trash. Like, what are you gonna do with the battle skill? First of all, like, you have high resistance and you reduce the time for the battle skill. Like, there are not many battle skills that are very OP, especially in a setup where you want resistance on it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know what way you can use this one, but yeah, do let me know if you have an idea. And the most OP one is going to be the Crown of the Unclean. It's going to give you defense and accuracy. The accuracy, the maximum you will get from this is going to be 64 for all epics. For legendary, is going to be 96, and it's a 75% chance of defense penalty 1. So it's pretty good, especially if you just have a single target ultimate hitter. It's pretty good for that compared to the legendary one, which has a 60% chance. The new ones that they added are these 5 at the bottom. Let's take a look at so the wear grants 15% more shield. It's based off an alignment. So the only person that I actually think of is Philotia, who does shields on alignment ultimate and would be really useful. You could also use this on Viniara, but I would say, like, if you have Viniara, don't waste this one on it. Like, you can put the Crown of Unclean, because Viniara has one of the shortest cooldown for ultimates, 16 seconds. So you will be able to get that defense down going pretty quickly. And you would probably need like more attack and more accuracy on Viniara compared to that. So you really have to look through your champion and see what you have to really delve deep down into what you want to do. Like, take for example Phoenix Feather. It's absolute garbage, right? Not because of this. The description is pretty amazing, and if they change this to attack percentage, I have no idea why they're using defense percentage. This item is clearly marked for somebody who's a DPS unit. So it doesn't really make sense to have defense percentage here. So I just don't get it. Like these are some of the things that I don't know who designed it. Like what were they thinking? This is actually a pretty good item for somebody who's dealing damage off their passive skills. There's some pretty cool ones who do that. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. So moving to rare, right? So the reason that I said like don't buy rares, what I mean is like you can buy them, but don't level them up. The cost of essence is about 6,000. This is going to be 10,000 for an epic one. There is basically most of them I think are trash. The one good one is going to be the volcanic disc, yeah. So the ultimate skill straight up deals damage bonus. It's great, but you could get this one sooner or later. So if this is your first season, you're free to play low spender, you don't have many dupes of epics or legendaries or whatever, you can get these, but don't waste your essence on it. Just keep it as it is, like an extra item. You can put that on one of your champions, but yeah, don't level them up. It's not worth it, the essence, and you need a lot of essence throughout the season to really level up your gear, level up your artifacts, and most of the essence is going to be used there. But yeah, check the full list of the artifact tier list in the description below. I've linked my spreadsheet to it. It's the same spreadsheet that I did for the champion tier list, so it will be easy to read. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.